Hello. Hello, beautiful people. Courtney here with Stars of the Morning Light. If you are just now joining, Stars of the Morning Light is a full spiritual resource platform. The link will be below in the description. All sorts of services, free meditations, free blog. But here we talk about ancient texts. And we are still currently in All Is Mind. I know it's been kind of almost a week since I did a video, and we're talking about the soul. Forgive me, I was extremely tired after the holidays, and the weather in the south of the United States has been so wonky that it's just kind of drained people. The energies, the weather, everything. We went from 78 degrees and like 90% humidity to, in less than 48 hours, like 28 degrees. So it just does a lot to the human body. And so if I cough, maybe even yawn, I'm sorry, I'm so exhausted. I'm good. I'm wonderful. Thank you for your concern, but I am good. It's just the body dealing with all the different energies and the different weather. And I will say, even though I was raised a Yankee, my body, I believe for most people, after you do like 3 summers in the south of the United States, your whole body fully acclimates to the heat instead of the cold. So the fact that it's 25 degrees outside, I'm like, oh, no, no, no. My body just wants to be under a blanket reading books, you know. But I'm here with you, and I'm so happy to be with you. I have to make some stuff really, I think, more clear. Well, I was so my guides this past week were like, Courtney, you need to start coming with it. And I was like, you think so? That is, when we talk about the human free will, we're going to go into how powerful our free will is. Remember, we learned in the last video about the soul and gender, mind, that will, the human free will, let's say that also, will had to come before word. Our will is it's one of the most powerful things in the cosmos, okay? So I, even though my guides might tell me a lot of things, my free will, man, especially if my ego's not cleansed and right-sized, right? So they were saying, Courtney, you need to start coming with it. And here's the deal with that. So we are talking about the Hermetic principles, and we are still trying to unravel this concept of all is mind. And in the last video on this topic, we talked about gender, because we're going to work our way back up the Hermetic principles. I'm going to be honest with you all, okay? So this is Courtney being honest. I do enjoy the Hermetic principles, but I also know that they are only the beginning. That a lot of them aren't even present as you evolve, as you ascend. They're not even present anymore. But I also know, kind of like when Thoth talks about how he freed himself from time and space. There actually is no kind of gender. There is no this and that. So let's just focus on what we're doing right now, because I do also know that you can't, I shouldn't say you can't, but it is hard for us humans to ascend into letting go of these principles if we haven't even learned them, and we haven't even studied them, and we haven't even experienced them, and fully have wrapped our heads around it. You see what I'm saying? So we do have to start here. This is where most humans need to begin. And that is why when my guides say, hey, you need to start coming with it, I go, whoa, 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 whoa. Because even though, how do I say this? Even though there may be some people, humans here, beings here, that are more ascended than others, it is my firm belief that we still have to stay right size, because our purpose is to help others remember who they are. Get out of the error, get out of the forgetfulness. And so even though some of us might know a bit more, understand a bit more, have experienced a bit more, like a lot of people, because I think the last video was my Akashic Records reading, a lot of people just assume that I just stay in that state of mind all the time and I operate in that way. I don't, because I want to meet you where you are. If you're in the ditch of error, if you are in the ditch of forgetfulness, I'm going to get in that ditch with you and get us both out. You see what I'm saying? That is what a lot of us are called to do. So in order to do that, I know where the process really needs to start. Speaking about that also, and this is just me clarifying some stuff, because I don't want us to get stuck on how all these Hermetic principles are permanent, and because nothing is. Here's the deal, guys, is that there's so many people right now that are like, this is a simulation, we got to break out of the matrix, we got to break out, which, yeah, true, got it, error, forgetfulness, break out. But I want to pose the question, then what? Then what? And that is where we're at right now. I love the fact that people are waking up to the fact that, we actually have way more power. Man, we're going to talk about the human free will here soon. We have way more power. We don't have to live in the matrix, the error, the forgetfulness. We don't have to live there. But so many people right now are trying to break free of that, which is beautiful. But then what? There's so much to it that we begin to create a possible other matrix, because all is mind, that is also based out of judgment and hate and frustration, because we're breaking out of the matrix that way. That can't be either. And there's a lot that goes into it. That's what today is going to focus on when we talk about the soul, the consciousness. So I also want to make that very clear. Okay? So we have covered the inner flame, the divine spark, okay? The spirit within, all same thing. We've covered that. We have covered the ego, okay? How we have to cleanse our ego. Our ego is always going to be present. We cannot get rid of the ego, but we need to cleanse it, balance it, keep it healthy. It should be in the back seat of the car and not driving the car, right? And now we're talking about the soul. The soul as a consciousness. That's what I want to make very clear. There are 3 parts: spirit flame, soul consciousness, and ego. I'm going to make it very clear right now. Please hear me. Not everyone has a spirit flame. Not everyone present on the planet has that. Not everyone really has a developed consciousness. And what I mean by that is there are people that they've only been here so many times. They know the root fundamentals of what it is to survive, what they need. They have some memories, they have this and that. But not everyone has a full consciousness that is connected to the grand all. Not everyone. But everyone has an ego. That is connected to our body. That is connected to, it's our survival. It's a part of our human experience. So everyone has an ego. Not everybody is at a grand scale of consciousness that is connected to the all. And not everybody has the divine spark. I am not trying to say this in any form of judgment. It is what it is. I believe if you are here listening to this YouTube channel, you have all of it. You have it. And so that's why I'm speaking to you. But please do understand, not everybody has it. Same as not everybody has a twin flame out there. It's not how it works. And that's fine. And that's lovely. And that's beautiful. Because it takes all sorts. It takes all kinds. It takes those who do have all three parts to usher in the new earth. Okay? So let's have a little bit of compassion to ourselves and others, because not everyone is equipped with all the exact same stuff. Many of you that are watching this have probably lived many lifetimes over, building your consciousness, building your lessons, building your memories. Not everybody's got that. I love all people, but not everybody's got that, okay? So we cannot just try to push and let's everybody break free from the matrix, and then there's backlash, and then there's this, and then there's that, because it's not everyone. Okay? And I am not trying to be exclusive. I am truly all inclusive, all welcoming. But I also do know that it's not everyone is equipped with all parts. And that is fine. That's okay. Because they will either eventually get there, or they're here for another reason, another experience. They play a part in all of this. So be compassionate to yourself and to others. And let's not just break free from the matrix and then not have any idea of then what. Okay? So, and remember, it is not so easy to fully break free from the matrix. That is what we're going to talk about. Okay? All right. I love you all. Let's begin. I do truly love you all. I really do. I hate when I have to kind of come with it. And I come with it even though I come with it a little gently. I just don't like having to do that. But there are certain things that really have to be understood and really have to be pronounced. Oh, I also wanted to say, I don't normally go back and watch these videos. I just do my thing and then send it out to y'all out in the universe. But I did watch the one that I did at Christmas for the cleansing. I don't know, maybe because it was Christmas and I was wonky and my husband's recording. I kept saying in light and love when you went to do that symbol. It's actually reverse it. When you do the cross to cleanse yourself, the cross, okay, that is the love. So in love, the circle is light. I don't know why I was flipping it up, but so do the cross in love and light, okay, for when you're cleansing yourselves. Oh, I love you guys. Okay, so today we're talking about a whole lot of the soul, and the soul is is consciousness, and I know that's more so of a Western mentality, and it's because that's where we have to start. Okay, that is really where we have to start. So think of your inner flame, divine flame, spark. You are a star from the heavens above. Go back to Toth, go back to that lesson. You got the ego for survival. Keep it in the back seat. Keep it in check. It lives in your powerhouse. Keep that ego in check. Now we're into soul. Last time we talked about how within all of us there's masculine and feminine, masculine and feminine. There's the yin and the yang. It has to have opposites. Everything really needs to have opposites. Even when you're manifesting, I love you all, but until you fully are able to absorb how to manifest and just manifest like that, there is usually, okay, I'm manifesting. There's usually some like way messed up thing. Like you're manifesting a bunch of like, you need money to pay for this, you need this and that. And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, the car breaks down or something like that. You see what I'm saying? That's because there's usually a very negative to bring in the great positive. And it's also the universe testing you on your thoughts. Okay, you want to manifest. You're not fully there yet. You go back and forth. You're that double-minded man, right? A butthead. I'm going to throw this in the wrench for you right now so you can truly learn to trust the universe. You can truly trust and keep your mind in the right state of positivity in order to truly manifest. So when that happens, guys, stay the course, stay positive. Your blessing's coming. But right now, as far as you know, in your development, and most of our developments, there is that polarity. There is that fourth dimension, right? There is that yin and yang. There is that black and white. There is that masculine, feminine. Opposites, okay? When we transcend more, we can let go of these concepts. But let's even just wrap our head around that. So today, maybe I'm just getting a little squirrely today and you guys might have to just handle it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, it's all for the betterment. It is so for the better good. So today we are going to talk about the soul as a consciousness. Okay? If you are watching this, if you are resonating with this, hit that like button, but also know that you therefore have a consciousness level that can sustain itself within the all and grow and be more with the all. Okay? So, I had told you guys last time that we were going to read from this a bit. This is the Tibetan book of the Great Liberation. I love this book. I love this book. I used to own it. Clearly, it's from my public library right now. Go public libraries. Love it. If you can get your hands on this, the Tibetan book of the Great Liberation, do it. Just do it, because I can only get so much out. You know what I mean? So today we're going to be in this. We're also going to visit a little bit of the universe. Oh man, I got such a glare, guys. A universe of consciousness. How matter becomes imagination. Now, I know many of you might say, okay, well, flip that. Imagination becomes matter. The reason they have it written like that in this book, this is your science, okay? This actually came out in 2000. So when I first read this in college and we were studying the mind and how it relates to so much stuff, it was fresh back then. It was fresh back then. I think I read in like 2001 or 2002 or something like that. So it's a little, I mean, we know a bit more now, but I wanted to bring this up because if you are the type that it's like, okay, I got the spiritual, but I want some proof. I want some backup. or if you are just very curious as to how your mind functions and works, this is an awesome, awesome book to go to, okay? The Universe of Consciousness. I'm not going to really be reading from this, but I'm going to be presenting this again at the end, because so many people are at the beginning of their awakening process. And I love everyone, and this even includes myself. Even if you're like, oh no, I already went through that, I already got that, I already took care of that. Many times that is our ego talking, and we really need to look at what do we really have as far as wisdom. Many people know. We know a lot, and we want to know more, and we want to know more, and we want that knowledge. But if knowledge does not turn into wisdom, we can only go so far. So I am suggesting, if you are enjoying what you hear here on Stars of the Morning Light YouTube, and you want to personally grow more in your own spiritual, mental development, I suggest this book. This is The Mandala of Being. I don't know if I can discover the power of awareness. Sorry, awareness. It's kind of hard to read backwards. This is a lovely book. Okay, it's a lovely book. I will say, shadow work stuff goes on. It's a heavy, heavy book. This is for those, the Mandala of Being, the power of awareness. This is really coming into your awareness of yourself. So a lot of shadow work stuff, a lot of mental stuff. I mean, this is a very powerful book. If you think you're ready, go for it. Okay. All right. So I haven't even gotten into what we're supposed to be talking about, have I? That's all right. It's all good. It's cold outside, so we're gonna just do our thing. I ain't going nowhere. Ooh, it's too cold. All right, so I am actually starting in the Great Liberation, the Tibetan book of Great Liberation. I'm going to start on page 12 and read a little bit. I'm basically going to be jumping through like 12, 13, and 14. Okay? And remember, this is talking about the mind. This is going to be talking about the mind. Our mind, just wrap your head around that. Your soul is pretty much your consciousness. Yes, is it a Western thought? As I believe we're even going to read that here. Roll with that right now. Just roll with it right now. That's groovy. You can do that. Okay. So, page 12. This is actually from a section called Individualized and Collective Mind. Unenlightened men bring forth from the full awakening believes himself to be possessed as a individualized mind uniquely his own. And this illusion-based belief has given rise to the doctrine of soul, meaning we all are thinking we have just our individual soul, that it's not connected to much of anything, but we're all starting to learn with incarnations, with remembering, we are connected. Both the Tibetan teachers declare that one cosmic mind alone is unique. That on each of the... Sorry, guys. This book is very small print. That on each of the pyramids of life-bearing orbs throughout space, the one cosmic mind is differentiated only illusionary by means of reflective or subsidiary mind appropriate to and common to all living things thereon as on the planet Earth. I will keep going, I know. So, mankind are a unit of mental illusions. If men were not mentally one, there would be no collective hallucination of the world. Error, forgetfulness. If we were not connected, we would not be living in 3D fog, okay? But we are connected. If each microscopic manifestation of mind in each apparently individualized being were a separate mind, it would have its own distinctive illusionary world. No two men would see the world the same. It is because mankind's minds or consciousness are collectively one that all mankind see the same world of phenomenal appearances. The same mountains, the same rivers and oceans, the same clouds and rainbows, the same colors, hear the same sounds, smell the same odors, taste the same tastes, and feel the same sensations. I know that, okay, so there might be some of you now that are listening and you're thinking, no, there's individualized perceptions. This is why when cops have to interview people, they try to interview 3 or more witnesses because everybody's going to see a different aspect. Everybody's going to see something different. If you and I are looking at the same river, I might be focused on the trees, past the river, and you might be looking at how the waves are moving. So everybody sees a different aspect, but what is present, we see the same. Okay? And it's all an illusion anyways. Sorry. Jeez. Oh my goodness. Thus, there is the illusionary one mind, conscious and unconscious, common to all human beings, and in which all subhuman creatures of the earth share. Upon this of mind, man's sciences are based. It gives uniformity and continuality, to all human knowledge. So, this is what we base everything off of. Error. We base it off error. This illusionary one mind, common to all mankind, in its consciousness and unconscious aspects, directs mankind's activities and shapes all mankind's concepts. In its unconscious motivation, it controls the unitary instinct governing of the life of a beehive, bees, or of an ant colony, or a flock of birds, or a herd of wild animals. Let me just keep going. So in this lower mindset, it manifests itself in the oneness of the irrational thinking and behavior of a rioting mob. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So because we're all collectively connected consciously, we're still working as like beehive, which is fine. I mean, even when we ascend and we're all on the same page, we're going to be working somewhat like a beehive. That's fine. It's what's in the beehive. it's the forgetfulness, the fog, the error that is the 3D that is really operating the beehive. Earth's multitude of human and subhuman creatures, each of them like a single cell, collectively constitute the body of one multicellular organism, mentally illuminating by the one cosmic mind. We are, as St. Paul perceived, all members of one body, self or other and self identical. It is because of what the Buddha designates as ignorance or lack of right seeing into the facts of incarnate being that mankind failed to practice the golden rule. Instead of mutual helpfulness or cooperation, we behold man's humanity to man, his wars amongst the members of his own body against himself. So, I was raised, my mother used to say it all the time, especially when I got into high school. She would say, you're a singular being living a collective experience. Meaning, I have my own, as Courtney, I have my own memories, my own thoughts, my own emotions, my own perceptions, my own this, my own that. I am singular in that way, but I am here for other people. I am here as to be a part of the collective social culture going on and above the collective consciousness. And what they're talking about here is that because we stay so much of the mindset of like, I'm just my singular self, I am just within myself, that is what leads to not helping our fellow man, not, cooperating, going to wars. And it's so sad that his wars against the members of his own body against himself. So when we're going to war, when we're low key, big time, it doesn't matter if you're warring with whomever in your circle to globally, we're warring against ourselves because we are connected. We need to kind of break free from this singular idea, But what's interesting is that it is still so very present. It is. I mean, I used to teach this to people, and what I would do is what we would talk about a lot, because oftentimes perception is our reality for many people. So I had to at least start there, right? And so what I would do is I would put a chair out, and I would say, okay, I would take like the tallest person in the room and the shortest person in the room, okay? And I would have the short person stand on the chair and be at the eye level of the tall person. And I'd say, okay, now look around the room. And then I would take the taller person, I would say, okay, now you need to shrink, get the shorter person off the chair and be like, you need to shrink down, just lean down for a little bit and look around the room. People don't realize how much of even something that simple, our height, changes how we perceive the world. I'm at least 6 feet. So I operate in this world way different than most of my friends who are like 5'4". And also the world is designed for people who are 5'8", because they took an average of women at 5'6", they took an average of men at 5'10", got there in the middle. So everything in this world is built for someone who is 5'8". I remember when I was 5'8", I was in 7th grade. It was amazing. It was perfect. Everything fit. I kept growing. So what I'm saying is that even the smallest things like that we don't even are conscious of, because it's us. It's all we know. I only knew what the world looked like as a 6-foot person. But when I would go and, lean down and look at the world through the lens of somebody who's like 5'3", my mind was blown. Because I'm thinking, how do you even do this? Like, it would just be so much of a struggle, I was thinking. Like, it's that little thing. So we have all of this built up in us that is very singular to our personal experience. But it is so connected. So connected. I don't know. I guess that was a personal, you know what? Try that. Just try it. I get together with whatever friends you have and do that. Because then even your friends can be like, whoa, this is how you see the world? Yeah, it's yeah. Do it. That's my little advice. So, it is only by transcending man's collective hallucination, error, and the heredity and racial ignorance which falters man to illusionary, oh man, guys, this book is very wordy. It's just very wordy. It's a great book, but it's more to like, just read in small morsels and take it in. Okay. The seers behold the absolute at one mint. They do it at dash one dash mint. There is a reason for that, and we'll go over it at some point. Not only for mankind and of every living thing here on the planet Earth, but the cosmos as a whole. Behind all these illusionary appearances, behind all the personality, behind all mind and matter, man should seek the undifferentiated thatness, capital T, thatness, the unborn, the unshaped, the non-recognizable, the unpredictable, beyond what those falter, to ignorance known as soul or consciousness or existence. Oh my goodness, I do love this book. It's just, it's so many words. What they're trying to say there is we need to go past this. We need to go past the singularity. And like I said, I think that's why I probably just brought up that example. The best way to do that is to start with seeing things as someone else does. That concept of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. That is the front line. That's like the basis of even beginning to see how we're all connected and how things operate differently, but yet as the same. Yeah, okay, so, but here's the challenge. I should have let you guys just sit with that for a bit longer. I apologize. So let's just sit with that for a minute. All is mind. All is the same consciousness in this great one cosmos that they talk about. I am leading into something. So just sit with that for just a moment. There is method to my madness. There is. We're going to go into some science here, folks. Just a little bit of science, because this book is a whole lot of science. A whole lot of science. And I studied writing and literature and history. I am not about to start busting down some science. I'm not going to break it down. It's not going to happen. But I did study it. You know what I mean? So, leading into what I'm about to read, they talk about, I'm just going to speak for a minute before I start reading. Okay, so, we are all learning now, past since this book has been written, that our mind, and I mean like the neurons, the electrical synapses, the atoms, I mean like the functioning of our mind, it looks a lot like how the universe functions. I mean, we are learning so much of how our mind is so much similar to the universe, so much similar to this, so much similar to that. Here's the deal. I'm going to try to just simply break down some stuff. How our mind communicates within itself, functioning from the neurons, like I just said, all of the integral parts of the matter of the mind. Okay, even from front lobe, all of it. Okay, I'm not gonna go into all the parts of the mind. I thought about doing so, but I was like, no. They all communicate. They all communicate. Little electrical currents going back and forth, communicating for our body to function. For not just for our body to function, but for us to have memories, for us to speak. They're all communicating, and they communicate. What is it? It's something like like 1 billion times in a millisecond is how fast our brain is communicating with itself, back and forth, yeah, I think it's 1 billion of a millisecond. That's how fast our brain's talking, okay? What it boils down to is the way our brain communicates within itself is the same way, so we can learn and grow and develop and have memory and have body function. How that looks within itself, all these little synapses, that's exactly how culture, society also operates. We change and develop and grow socially and consciously within ourselves. Consciously, remember, same way. Boom, 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 boom. Through what we hear, what we see, what we're taught, even all the subliminal messages. I'm probably going to do a whole thing about like subliminal stuff. A whole nother video. All of that. So you got it in yourself individually, the mechanisms of the brain functioning with communicating with itself and communication with other parts, just communication, all things communicating to make you whole. It is the exact same replica in society. Everyone communicating. This is how we learn when we grow. Somebody had to teach you your alphabet, blah, blah, blah. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's exactly the same. And it is also, as we are learning now in current science, it's exactly how the universe works as well. Down to the little cellular levels in our body. Each cell is like the expanse of the universe, and each cell is communicating within its own little cell and talking to all the other little cells. Okay? Just let's take a minute, wrap our head around that. All of our little cells talking inside of that cell to itself is the expansion of the same size of the universe, and all of our little cells are talking to all of the cells within our body. Same as the mind. The mind is talking in the same form as the expansion of the universe, and the same of the collective conscious that are walking around talking, doing here in 3D and in a higher state of consciousness. It is, okay, we're going to just sit. I get very worked up. So, I guess I just really need to put that out there. to keep going. So this is from the universe of consciousness. This is from chapter 11, the consciousness and complexity. Okay. A high degree of differentiation is an equally fundamental property of conscious experience. By differentiating, we simply mean that billions of different conscious states can be experienced, each of which may lead to different behavioral outputs. For example, so they're saying, based on memory, based on the communication happening in the brain, which this book does go into the science of that, we are running at any given time billions of different experiences we can pull from. And each of which may lead to a different behavioral outcome. Okay? For example, think of a word. Before you actually thought of one, you were uncertain about which particular word would come to mind out of the tens of thousands you know. But after the word pops to mind, say the word irrelevant, the uncertainty is reduced and information is generated. Okay, so first the mind goes, oh, okay, they just said pick a word. What word? What word? And then you're like, screw it, just irrelevant, okay? And so then the information's given because it's right there. Then speak the word and see what reactions you entice. So when you finally say the word, okay, it is the information that has actually led to different behavioral outputs. So I'm going to keep going. Now consider any word or phrase you have read in this book or any other book you have read before. Or imagine all the different possible scenes from a movie and from all movies you have let me get my head straight. Have previously seen, or all the faces that you have conjured up from your past experience, and all the combinations of feelings that you can have with each face. There are literally billions of possible conscious states. The ability of differentiating among all these different states constitutes information, which is the reduction of uncertainty among the number of alternatives. This argument implies that the selection within a short time of any particular integrated state out of such a large repertoire of different possible states is enormously informative. So, not only does our collective conscious, as of right now, I mean, the higher we ascend, the more we will all be on the same page, which will be nice. Right now, even operating in that realm is still linked so much to our individual soul consciousness based on there are literally billions of possible conscious states within ourself, within our own mind. Now collectively put that in everybody else's. And what it means here is that we pull from memory, we pull from this, we pull from all the information, we pull from the faces, the feelings, everything we've ever known. And that is what we draw from as a singular entity here. And that's why the collective state, I'm bringing this back up, or I'm reminding everyone that I originally wanted to talk about breaking out of the matrix. So, as a collective state, we are still operating that way, collectively. We are still operating from that individual experiences and how our brains are operating, and many are still very much being influenced by the ego. I'm gonna jump, ladies and gentlemen, to same book, page 136 to 137. I'm gonna be jumping around a little bit. This is a little section that's about the role of the external stimuli. The previous theoretical analysis of complexity was carried out within an isolated neutral system, and it led to the conclusion that neutral complexity strikes an optimal balance between segregation and integration of function. This conclusion is consistent with the view that a complex brain is like a collection of specialists who talk to each other a lot. So our complex brain is like a collection of specialists who talk to each other a lot. Doesn't that sound like the collective? If we all can become specialists in our ascension, it all works the same. It just depends on what the focus is. Notwithstanding its initial emphasis on the complexity of isolated systems, it is clear that the set dynamic relationships among functioning, civilized groups of neurons that are found in the functioning adult brain must, nevertheless, originate somewhere. They must first be developed, selected, and redefined in a long process of adaptation to the outside world. As we have argued, this process takes place during evolution, development, and experience through the mechanisms of variation, selection, and differentiation, amplification that accompany the continuous integration among the body, the brain, and the environment. What must be determined theoretically and measured, then, is how the intrinsic dynamic relationships among specialized oh gosh, guys, this is getting rough. I should have thought of that. Drink some water, Court. Okay. As we have argued, this process takes place during evolution, development, and experience through the mechanisms of variation, selection, and differentiational amplification that accompany the continuous integrations among the body, the brain, and the environment. What must be determined theoretically and measured then is how the intrinsic dynamic relationships among specialized neurological groups in an adult brain become adaptatively related over time to the statistical structure of the environment, the average over time of all singles characteristic of an environment received by an animal. Moreover, given that any given time, most neurological groups of the brain are predominantly affected by information from other parts of the brain. The moment-to-moment contribution of the information that is actually provided by the environment, external information, must also be determined. I'm going to keep going and then we're going to... A theoretical approach to these questions can be developed by considering in informational theoretical terms the fate of the signals transmitted from the sensory sheets during perception. Although this analysis is not presented here in any detail, the main conclusion that can be drawn from it are worth mentioning. For a small value of external mutual information between the stimulus and the neutral system, there is generally a large change in the intrinsic mutual information among subjects of units within the neutral system. I will break this down, guys. This change can be measured by the quantity called complexity matching, or CM, which is the change in neural complexity that occurs as a result of encounter with external stimuli. Holy balls. Sorry for my phone going off there. And me just, whew, okay. It's all there. It is a great book. I truly, truly mean that. It might be a little bit dated, but it's still great knowledge. What they are saying is that we, that's my answer machine if you can hear it, how our brain, it's talking amongst itself. It's talking to function, process words, process thoughts, all this and that, right? It's going. That is our neurological, like, complexity of the brain. It's just snapping. But when it says, which is the change in neural complexity that occurs as a result of encounter with external stimuli. And let's say there's something that we have to change in our brain. Okay? And it does take external stimuli to start making that change happen. But once we start, it can also be, oh man. Okay, so different parts of the brain, it's all connected in different parts of the brain. So even like, let's say you say, okay, I want to work on the fact that I eat too many potato chips, or I don't want my ADD to rule over me, or I don't like with addicts, they need to stop using, but then it's like rewiring the brain. Anything like that, even though it's coming from inside your brain, it's coming from one part working its way to another part. I'm going to give actually a personal example to maybe shed more light on this. And you also have to understand it's also a part of external stimuli coming in and changing how our brain functions. So I'll give a personal example. In, I think it was 2005, 2006 or something, I was at a concert and I spun my entire foot around, an entire 180 degrees, dropped to the ground and went, oh shit, spun it all the way back into the way it was supposed to be and held on for dear life. So my left ankle is all metal and screws. It's wild, okay? So then I had to do physical therapy. I did not know, when you develop as a baby how to walk upstairs. I was also, like, I was in my early 20s when that happened, okay? So I had been walking since my first birthday, and doing stairs my whole life. It was just in my brain. It's just a motor function. It was in my brain. But then when I broke my foot like that, my whole ankle, I had to, that motor part of me had been like disintegrated because of the accident. So the idea of like, oh, I just walk upstairs, I just walk, it was like completely voided. I had no concept on how to do that. So external physical therapist had to teach me as an adult how to do that. And then I had to keep practicing how to do that, to reteach my mind that this needs to be a part of my motor functions again. And I will tell you, it was brutal. Brutal. To just learn how to walk up steps, to just do 3 steps, and I was bound and determined because it wasn't like I was never going to walk again. Just to walk 3 steps, tears would be streaming down my face from the pain, the frustration to try to learn how to do it correctly, all of it. It was just brutal for months learning how to walk. And the hardest part is because logically, I couldn't get over the fact of I should just know how to do this. But my brain had completely just voided that entire out, because when it's that big of a massive break, the body automatically goes, yeah, we're never going to use this again. So, same as anything else, guys. Same as anything else. To start rewiring our brain so it is not possibly influenced by the 3D, the forgetfulness, the ego, as much as it is. It not only takes external stimuli, like somebody had to show me that I had no clue how to go upstairs. It also takes other parts of the brain going, you can do this. You can do this. Staying positive. You can do this. And telling yourself, okay, to truly start rewiring the brain. What is that book? Dr. David... Oh, I have it in the house somewhere. I'll put it in the description below. So I think it is called like Change Your Brain. It's a great book, and it goes a lot into that. So when we say we're just gonna break through the matrix, awesome. With what? The same brain? Sorry. Then we will just repeat the same thing. We will just create the same. We will create the world of judgment and separation, and we'll just do the same thing. Ooh. 1 minute I'm on fire, and then the next minute I'm who knows what I'm doing here. Well, I know what I'm doing here. I know what I'm doing. What are you doing? That's the question. So, that is how, hands down, I love science. I love spirituality. We are learning, I'm sure by this time, 2022, that the two are very, very closely related. And if that is how our brain functions within ourselves, that is also how the brain functions collectively. So let's pay attention to our stimuli, our external influences. Let's pay attention. And then, even if we can separate ourselves from what we don't want as of now, we then have to go back to the beginning and rewire from the stimuli we were raised with, the stimuli that was in our environment during our process of developing this brain and perception. This is why this book is good, The Mandala of Being. Okay? Become fully aware of, it's all been influenced, especially subconsciously. I wrote a huge paper in Conscious about subconscious via advertisements when I was in college. Huge. It was like some 20, 30 page paper. I don't know what got into me. I was just very engrossed in the topic, I guess. And even back then, so like, I think a report in like 2000 said that we see 5,000 advertisements each day that we are not aware of that we're seeing, but they all are triggering in our subconscious. That was in 2000. I can't imagine. I didn't even own a cell phone, man. I don't know what the number could possibly be now. All affecting how our brain communicates within itself, within the consciousness of our personal self and the collective. So yeah, let's break out of the matrix, but let's make sure we create a whole much better simulation, if it shall be, right? So we're gonna go back real quick to the Tibetan Book of Great Liberation. I really recommend this book, and I'm sorry that I was struggling. It is very wordy, but to sit and read this within your, just quiet, blanket, cup of tea, good book. This is wonderful. This is so good to sit with and just take in a page, 2 pages at a time. It's really good. We're going to go to page 9. Page 9. We're going to go to page 9 and I think jump a little bit. Oh, no. We're just going to page 9, people. Sorry. Okay. From the standpoint of Western science, particularly, which is really what we just read, a whole lot of Western science, the complexity of the mind. From the standpoint of Western science, particularly of dynamics and physics, the one mind is a unique root of energy, the potentiality of potentialities, the sole domino of universal power, the vibrations, the unknown source, the womb whence there come into being the cosmic rays and matter and all the electronic aspects as light, heat. Okay, so they're trying to say from Western science, the one mind, the collective mind, the collective consciousness, is that unique root that brings in all matter, that brings in the matrix, the simulation, that brings in the appearance of everything. Okay? I'm gonna jump though, I think to, oh wait, no, I need to keep going. It is thus the maker of natural law, the master and administrator of the universe, the architect of the atom and the builder therewith of the world systems, the sower, the reaper of harvests, the immutable storehouse of all that has been, is now, and ever shall be. Oh, I need more water. I'm gonna keep going, guys. I am jumping to, I apologize. Very dry in my house because I have the heat on because it's 25 degrees out there. That's crazy. I'm going to end with 2 things. There is a method to my madness. This is from page 11 of the Tibetan Book of the Great Liberation. Thank you for giving me a moment there. Paradoxically, as every great teacher has taught, it is only by losing one's life that one finds life more abundantly. It is only by ceasing to exist that one transcends existence. It is only when the micro becomes one with the macro that existence and the cause of existence are knowable. So and that was page 11. So there's a lot between 9 and 11 of like, it's under the nature of mind. The one mind is the builder, the architect of all of what we appear, all that we see, and the illusion, the hallucination, as they love to refer to it, and the error, the 3D, the forgetfulness, the fog. But then there's that beautiful little section that talks about, to lose oneself. That is going back to, we can't get rid of our ego. It can never go away. But we can keep it right sized, we can keep it balanced, we can keep it cleansed. And we have to let go of ourself to really be a part of a higher consciousness, a higher ascension, a higher knowing that can turn into higher wisdom. We really have to let go so much of ourself. And it is extremely hard, people, extremely hard. Because of all of the external stimuli that connects with the actual functioning of our brain and the thought processes of our brain, including not just current, but past, present, and future. That's why I keep going back to, okay, we can break out of the matrix. I mean, the moment, if you want to break out of the matrix, go for it. But then what? You are still you. Many of us would still be ourselves. And we'd be carrying all this junk with us. All this stuff that has from the external world has influenced us and also many lives. So when we say, let us remember who we are, it is truly meaning, let us remember from the moment of our divine creation, of our inner spark, inner flame. That is who we need to remember. But in order to do so, we have to break out of the thought patterns of now, rewire those thought processes. And I mean, it's so hard. It's hard. So have compassion for yourself and others. And then apply that same, after that is greatly achieved within oneself, then you have to die onto yourself. You have to, I'm going to read something here in a minute, to fully grasp the all is mind, one mind consciousness, and then bring that into being. So, where you are right now is a good jumping off point of at least becoming aware. Once again, that wonderful book, the Mandala of Being, Discovering the Power of Awareness. Where you are now is truly a beginning. And that's why the Hermetic principles are great to wrap our heads around, because we cannot actually go further in ascension and further in truly understanding all is mind unless we work through all these concepts, all these ideas, all this stuff. And then we have to die and get rid of all that to go further. Oh, blessed beings, you are so beautiful and you are needed. You are love and light. You are a star. You are right where you should be. You are so appreciated. I'm going to close this out with the St. Francis prayer. St. Francis, if people don't know, way back in the day, I think he was actually 16th century. He came from a very wealthy family, went into the priesthood. Great man. You will see statues of him all over, like in gardens, with animals around him. St. Francis, wealthy family, went in the priesthood, became very Christ conscious, very Christ heart centered, okay? True Christ centered. When he inherited all the wealth from his family, he just gave it away, just gave all the wealth away to the paupers, to everyone, gave it away. He took care of animals. He was a healer of animals. Great, great, lovely being. That is why he is now St. Francis of Assisi. But this is a very good prayer. And I suggest looking up this prayer. I suggest really understanding this prayer. And when we think about, okay, my consciousness needs to be free. My consciousness needs to not be a part of the 3D, because I know I'm connected to the greater all. And let's not have the greater all be connected to this 3D crap, right? Let's just focus on this prayer. This prayer can do a lot of good. Many years ago, I read this prayer every morning. So, this is the St. Francis prayer. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand rather than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven. It is by dying that one awakens to the eternal life. Amen. Now, of course, we all know that it says self-forgetting that one finds. It's when we become selfless. It's when we get the ego out of the way, and the pride, and all the stuff that had been listed. Where there's hatred, may I bring love. And when it says it is by forgiving that one is forgiven, that is where you truly come to understand your human mind complexity. It is by dying that one awakens to the eternal life. Once we go through so much of an awakening process, we then again have to let go of all the concepts and conceptions that we had just learned. So we started with me saying that. Get rid of all your conceptions of what you had ever learned. I'm saying stay with me for a while. We're going to get through all these principles. Study on your own. Take your own time with things. And then we're going to have to drop this also. Because there is a process. And we are rewiring our minds, our soul consciousness, to when we fully engage as an all is mind, we bring forth the new earth that we truly want and deserve. I love you all so much. I really do. Until we meet again, namaste.